Hi everyone, this is Katie Groves, and in this video, I'm going to be attempting to give people some guidelines to how I think that they can help victims and survivors of child trafficking, ritual abuse, and mind control. One of the most challenging questions I receive on this channel is how can I help? Not how can I help you, but how can I help the survivor community as a whole? Now, I have received some people asking how they can specifically help me, and I will address that, but most of this video is going to be about how you can help the community as a whole. I'm going to start first by addressing some problematic things that I have seen in comments on my videos, namely the testimony of mine that has just recently gotten a bunch of attention about the child trafficking ring I grew up in Central Texas. And I will put a link to that in the description below for anyone who hasn't seen it. People have been expressing desires to physically find the ring that I grew up in, which was a deep underground military base in Central Texas, and rescue the children physically. This is not something that I believe that the majority of people, especially those expressing desire to do it, have the ability to do. And one of the things I do not want is for people to go to the area in which this took place and try to find it and get hurt. I would like to make something extremely clear. While I do not know the exact location of the entrance or entrances to this ring, as there are many, I can personally tell you that not only do I think that it would be impossible for someone in the general public to get in, but I think that it would be potentially deadly to try. And I think that to those who've expressed this desire, it may be helpful to ask yourself just what exactly you think that you would do or be able to do when you did so. The weapons technology that the Central Intelligence Agency possesses is unfathomable to most people. The full scope of it is unfathomable to me. I don't know the full extent of what they have, but I know enough to know that not even their own people could adequately defend themselves in most cases against a group of other members who are trying to take them down. I do not share this to give a message of hopelessness. I share this to give a message of reality. And I'm not saying that I know what every person who watches my channel has the capacity to do or what connections they have. And so if you are not just a member of the general public with basic things to defend yourself with, then I cannot speak for you and your capabilities. I'm just saying we are talking about the Central Intelligence Agency. We're talking about one of the most powerful military institutions in the world. And another thing that people have expressed on here is a desire to cause extreme bodily harm and or kill the people who have perpetrated this stuff. And I want to express how much I understand. How much I understand both the people who want to go and liberate the children physically and the people who want to take out the perpetrators in physical ways that go beyond simply incapacitating them and preventing them from doing more harm. And I apologize for the sound of the train if you can hear it. It really likes to go off while I make videos. There may come a time when we have to physically take out some of the people who perpetrate this stuff. And I do not deny that. There may be a time when it is possible, and there may be a time when that is what people have to do in order to protect those who are being victimized. However, one of the things I would like to point out is that a lot of the people who carry out the orders to traffic the children are traffic slaves themselves, like I was. A lot of them have been programmed like I was, and a lot of them are good people who do not have a choice. And while there are people involved in this who have personality disorders, who do not have empathy, and are not likely to ever develop it or ever become what anyone would call good human beings, there are good people who are being enslaved and forced to carry out these atrocities, and who it would not be visible to most that they are enslaved, who would very much look like sociopathic or narcissistic predators. And so I believe that it is extremely important that before anyone attempts to do any kind of vigilante justice, that they recognize that they may not be able to recognize who is actually at fault, who actually needs to be taken down, and who does not. And I certainly do not want to see people who are in the position that I was in be taken out violently, especially, sadistically, I mean, when they themselves have been tortured all their lives and are victims themselves. So those are some things I've identified that I wanted to address, some things that I've seen in comments that I really wanted to speak out about and share my perspective on. I'm not trying to change anyone's mind about these things, but I do want to share my perspective, and I do want to try to point people in a better direction in the hopes that they will want to follow. So what do I think people can do to help? Because of course I want to see this all stopped, but I want people to be realistic so that they can divert their energies towards what will actually work, what will actually help, and so that they do not cause themselves and others needless harm. The very first thing I want to say about what I think needs to be done is that I prefer to take a nonviolent approach to life in general, and especially to stopping human atrocity. And by nonviolent, I do not mean that physically violent acts necessarily cannot or should not be committed, but I mean that the energy and intention behind one's actions should be to stop the cycle of violence. So even if that means killing someone, or restraining someone, or incarcerating someone, it should be done with the intention to stop further violence from continuing.